I pulled into our driveway on a Tuesday afternoon, earlier than usual. The sun was still out, but that pale, tired kind of light that comes before autumn really settles in. I'd left the office without telling anyone. No emergency, no excuse. Just a quiet decision. I told myself it was because I wanted to surprise Claire. In truth, I just didn't want to sit in traffic thinking about the way she'd been looking through me lately. Claire and I had been married 23 years. We weren't flashy people.
No cruises, no voo renevals, no champanhe aniversaries.
But we had our rituals: Saturday pancakes, Sunday yard work, birthdays with store-bought cake and hand-signed cards. Love was never loud between us, but it was consistent. Or at least I thought it was. That night we were hosting a small dinner. Claire had suggested it, just family, she said, nothing big. Simple and meaningful. She even picked the date, one day before our anniversary. I thought that was odd. Now I know better. I'd stopped on the way home to grab a pie from Wilson's Diner, her favorite. Banana cream. She never made it herself, said it reminded her of summers as a kid. I carried it in one hand and a small box in the other. Inside the box, a necklace. Nothing extravagant, just a silver pendant with a single word engraved on it. Still. Short for still here. Still us. I walked in the front door and heard laughter. Claire's voice, high and performative. Her sister Beth's voice, loud and echoing off the kitchen tile. The smell of garlic and some kind of roast filled the house. No one greeted me. Claire saw me and waved absently, like I was a delivery guy dropping off groceries. She didn't even ask what was in my hands. "Hey," I said quietly. She smiled without showing teeth. "Can you go grab the wine from the car?" I forgot it. I stood there for a second, pie in one hand, gift box in the other. Then I turned around and went back outside. I didn't go to the car. I just sat on the front steps for a while, let the pie rest beside me and placed the box in my coat pocket. The wind pushed the neighbors' leaves across our yard like they were trying to escape something. When I finally went back in, Claire had changed. She was wearing something sharp and unfamiliar. A navy dress with gold jewelry, makeup a little heavier than normal. She looked like someone who'd dressed up for a speech. Our son Ethan sat alone at the far end of the living room, fiddling with his phone. His eyes lifted when I entered, then lowered again. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. "You good?" I asked. He gave a small shrug. That was Ethan's way of saying not really. Dinner began awkwardly. Beth brought her new boyfriend, who introduced himself twice like we hadn't heard him the first time. Claire's mother arrived late and started rearranging the napkins. I was still in my work slacks. No one seemed to notice. Right before we ate, Claire tapped her glass with a spoon and stood. "I want to take a moment," she said, "because tonight means something." The room quieted. It's easy to live on autopilot, to wake up next to someone and forget to wonder who they really are. I've spent too many years pretending everything was okay when it wasn't. She looked directly at me. "Jack, you've been steady, predictable, safe. But I'm tired of safe. I need real. I need passion. And I found it." Silence. "I've been seeing someone else," she said. "And I'm leaving." People gasped. Beth's fork clattered. Ethan's head snapped up. I didn't say a word, because I already knew. The silence after her words wasn't awkward. It was surgical, like someone had taken a blade to the atmosphere and cut straight through the air. Claire stood there, holding her wineglass like it was a microphone. She didn't cry, didn't apologize. Her chin was slightly raised, like she expected applause, or at least silent admiration for her bravery. Beth was the first to speak. "What are you talking about?" she whispered. "You're joking, right?" Claire didn't even look at her. Her eyes stayed on me. "I'm serious," she said. "I didn't want to do this in private because it's not just between Jack and me. It's about honesty, about finally living as my true self." Her mom looked like she might be sick. Her fork was halfway to her mouth, and she hadn't moved in nearly a minute. Ethan sat frozen, but his eyes met mine. And that was when I knew it was time. I stood up slowly. No expression, no raised voice, just motion. Claire's gaze faltered for a second, the first crack in the performance. "You're not going to say anything?" she asked, her tone half taunt, half test. I turned to Ethan. "You ready?" I asked. He nodded. He He pulled his phone from his pocket, tapped the screen, and held it up like he was pressing play on a song. It was her voice, loud, clear, recorded days earlier. He's completely checked out. I mean, Jack still thinks buying me takeout and fixing the sink means something. It's pitiful. The entire room froze. I'm not wasting my life waiting for him to wake up. Derek makes me feel things I forgot I had. And once he lands that consulting deal, I'm gone. I'm gonna drop it on Jack like a bomb. Claire's mouth opened, but no words came. The clip ended. Just 20 seconds. Enough. Beth stared at her. You recorded this? She asked Ethan. He nodded. She didn't know I was in the hallway. Claire finally found her voice. That was private. You had no right. No, I said quietly. You had no right. She looked at me like she'd just seen a stranger sitting in my chair. I knew about Derek. I knew about the hotel on Maple Road. I knew about the withdrawals from our savings, the fake work dinners. The night you said you were at Beth's but were actually 2 towns over. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. I knew. And I didn't confront you. Not yet. I wanted to see what kind of woman you'd choose to be when no one was watching. I took the necklace box out of my pocket and placed it on the table. Guess I got my answer. Claire's mom stood abruptly. Claire, what have you done? Claire looked around like the walls were closing in. You don't understand. Jack hasn't been present for years. I've tried. I've tried to feel something. And Derek, he reminded me what it's like to be alive. Beth scoffed. By cheating? By humiliating your husband at dinner. I needed to be heard, Claire snapped. I pointed at Ethan's phone. You were heard. Then I turned to him. Let's go. He stood without hesitation. As he passed Claire, she reached for his arm. Ethan, wait, please. He stepped back. Don't. His voice was cold. Not angry. Just finished. We walked to the door. I didn't say goodbye. No one did. Behind us, the silence was louder than any scream. In the car, Ethan stared out the window for a while. I drove slowly, not because of traffic, but because I needed the movement to process what had just happened. She used me, he said eventually. She didn't even check if I was in the house. She underestimated you, I replied.
No.
She just didn't care. We pulled into the apartment complex. 2 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, no frills. The place smelled like new paint and dust. I'd signed the lease 3 days earlier, just in case. Ethan dropped his bag by the door and looked around. You sure about this? Yeah, I said. I've never been more sure. He nodded, then walked into the smaller bedroom without another word. I sat on the couch and stared at the pie I'd carried all the way home. I threw it out. Some things don't get saved. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Not from an alarm, I'd forgotten to set one. Just one of those early jolts where your mind is already racing before your body even catches up. I sat at the edge of the mattress in the apartment's 2nd bedroom, staring at a blank wall. No photos.
No dresser.
Just the air conditioner rattling like it was clearing its throat. I hadn't cried. Still hadn't. Not because I wasn't hurt. I was. But pain needs time to become tears, and I wasn't ready to give it that time yet. Instead, I made coffee, folded Ethan's laundry that he'd left in the basket. Then I pulled the manila folder out of my briefcase. Inside was everything I'd gathered over the last 2 weeks. Receipts, bank statements, screenshots of her messages that Ethan had found on the old family tablet, the one Claire forgot to log out of. She'd texted Derek from it more than once, called him my real life. I'd always known Claire was sharp, organized, smart enough to hide things, but she'd never considered I might be paying attention. I was the quiet one, the steady one. She thought quiet meant clueless. I labeled the folder contingency, not revenge, not divorce, just contingency, because I wasn't reacting. I was preparing. I met with a lawyer that afternoon, a woman named Teresa Linwood, recommended by a friend who'd gone through a messy split and said she didn't flinch at manipulation. She shook my hand, firm and direct. So, she said as we sat down, walk me through the fire. I told her everything, from the first sign something felt off to the audio Ethan recorded. She listened without interrupting, only scribbling now and then. When I finished, she flipped through my folder. Hotel bookings under her name, disguised as work travel, she murmured. 3 transfers to a private account labeled Summit Strategies. That's the shell company Derek Maxwell set up 2 years ago. Clever, but not clever enough. She looked at me. Do you want to fight for the house? I shook my head. She can have it. I just want Ethan with me. And no alimony. She doesn't get to cheat and then ask for compensation. Teresa smiled slightly. You'd be surprised how many men don't come in with this kind of clarity. Most are still trying to win her back. I was, until last night. She nodded, pulled out a legal pad, and started outlining a plan. Custody, financial freeze, legal notice of separation, timeline. I listened, took notes. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was breathing through my own lungs again. Back at the apartment that evening, Ethan was lying on the floor, laptop open, headphones in. He looked up when I walked in and said, "There's leftover Chinese in the fridge." It was such a normal sentence that it almost broke me. We ate straight from the containers on the couch. After a while he said, "I talked to Beth." I looked over. "Yeah." She said Mom's trying to spin the whole thing already. Telling people she was emotionally neglected. That she snapped. Like she had no choice. I exhaled. That didn't take long. Ethan nodded. Beth didn't buy it. Said she sounded more rehearsed than sorry. There was a pause. Then he added, "She texted me today. Claire." "Yeah." Said she misses me. Wants to meet for lunch. Alone. My grip tightened around the chopsticks. "You don't have to go." "I know." He didn't say whether he would or not. He didn't have to. The fact that she was already trying to pull him aside, to make him part of her second version of the story, told me more than I needed. After he went to bed, I sat down at the kitchen table with a blank notepad and wrote at the top in bold letters, "Rules I won't break.
No yelling.
No lies, not to protect her, not for appearances. No decisions made out of spite. Always put Ethan first. Never let her rewrite what happened. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand long enough." The first thing I did the next morning was close the joint checking account. I moved half the funds, exactly half to the penny, into a new one under my name. Left a paper trail. Logged it, printed it, and filed it in the same folder I now kept in the kitchen drawer under Ethan's cereal. Not because I expected Claire to steal from me again, but because I wasn't going to be caught unprepared if she tried. By the afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from her. "Did something happen with the bank? I can't access our account." I didn't reply. She'd made her statement. Dinner. In front of everyone. The hour in that message was already dead. She just hadn't realized it yet. Instead, I took the printouts to Teresa, my lawyer. She looked over the figures and nodded. "You did it clean. Nothing she can argue. She'll push back, though. Get ready for guilt tactics." "I've seen them already," I said. "You'll see more." That same evening, I got a call from Beth, Claire's sister. "She's spinning the story hard," she told me bluntly. "Now she's saying you were controlling, cold, that you isolated her emotionally." I sighed. "Let me guess, to justify cheating?" Beth was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, I think she's just trying to keep herself from looking like the villain. The whole family heard the truth that night, but now she's trying to repaint it." "She can repaint it all she wants," I said. "The walls are still rotten underneath." Beth didn't argue. After we hung up, I sat in the apartment's tiny living room and stared at the TV. I wasn't watching anything, just letting the noise fill the space where anger might have gone. Ethan came out of his room, carrying a hoodie and his phone. "Going for a walk. Be back before dark," I said automatically, like I had 100 times before. He stopped. "She texted again." I waited. "She said she's worried about me, that I'm not thinking clearly, that you're making me choose." "Did she ask to meet again?" He nodded. "Said she wants to explain her side." I leaned forward. "That's not your responsibility." "I know," he said, "but it still sucks." He left before I could say anything else. And he was right, it did suck. No matter how justified you feel, betrayal leaves a hole. Not just for the person betrayed, but for everyone tied to them. Ethan had watched his mother become someone else, and now she wanted him to forget that just because she was ready to move on. But Ethan wasn't the same kid anymore, and I wasn't the same husband. The next day, Claire sent me an email. Subject line, "Can we be civil?" I knew what that meant. It meant, I see things slipping. Let's contain this before it gets worse for me. She wrote, Jack, I don't want things to spiral. I think we can divide everything peacefully. I'd prefer not to involve lawyers, especially not for Ethan's sake. Let's settle this quietly, like adults. Like adults. Coming from the woman who used a family dinner to announce her affair like it was a business pitch. I didn't reply, but I did forward it to Teresa. She called me later that afternoon. She's getting nervous, she said. This kind of language, settle, quietly, peacefully, that's a flag. It means she knows the legal side won't go her way. I'm not trying to destroy her, I said, but I won't let her rewrite the script. You won't have to, Teresa replied. You've got evidence, timeline, witnesses, and a teenage son who's already made his choice. That night, I sat across from Ethan during dinner, frozen pizza and orange juice, the meal of champions. You okay with all this? I asked him. He nodded. I don't want to go back there, even if she asks. You're sure? He looked me in the eyes. She had her chance to explain, and she used it to perform. I reached across the table, put my hand on his for a second, then let go. The truth had already chosen its side. By the end of the week, I'd stopped wondering when Claire would try to reclaim control. I started wondering how far she'd go. The first real crack came from an unexpected place. Howard, my boss, pulled me aside Thursday morning. She came by the office, he said, almost apologetically. I blinked. Claire. He nodded. Said she was updating her financial paperwork and needed verification of your salary and employment history. Sounded official, but something felt off. I leaned on the edge of the conference table. Did you give her anything?
No.
I told her she'd need to go through HR, and I warned them too. I nodded. Thanks. He paused before leaving. She seemed desperate. Just a heads up. I appreciated the warning. It confirmed what I already suspected. Claire wasn't just losing control. She was preparing a fallback story. That same night, Ethan showed me another text. She asked me to stop by the old house. Said she left something for me. What did you say? I didn't answer. He hesitated, then added, It feels like she's trying to lure me back. Not for me, for her. He was right. She wasn't reaching out to rebuild a relationship. She was reaching out because the walls were closing in and Ethan was the only person left who still looked like a potential ally. Except he wasn't. Claire didn't realize it yet, but she'd already lost him the night she made him part of her announcement. She treated our son like scenery in a play, not a human being with ears, memories, and principles. That weekend, I got a call from Beth. Has she told you what she's saying to everyone else? Not recently. She's telling people you ambushed her, that you tricked her into making a confession in front of the family, that Ethan was coached. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. Beth didn't. She's rewriting the dinner like it was your performance. She can say what she wants, I said. The people who matter were there. Beth sighed. Yeah, but she's not stopping with just words. She applied for some media development program. Used your name as a reference. Seriously. I thought you should know before they call you. That night, sure enough, I got an email from someone at a small digital media firm asking to verify Claire's leadership and integrity in family and financial matters. I didn't respond, but I didn't ignore it either. The next morning, I asked Teresa, my lawyer, how to handle situations like this. Simple, she said. Forward me anything like that. If she's presenting herself for professional gain while lying about your conduct or omitting the real facts, it's admissible. Even if I don't respond? Especially if you don't, she smiled. Silence backed by evidence is powerful. So I started building another file. One labeled, Perception Control. Inside, screenshots of her social posts. Half-truths, carefully phrased captions like, the hardest part isn't the betrayal. It's realizing they gave up on you first. Staying strong when someone chooses silence over resolution. Co-parenting with grace. It was always subtle. Just vague enough to seem like wisdom, just sharp enough to cut. But I wasn't playing defense. I was building armor. And slowly it started working. People reached out, coworkers, old neighbors, even Claire's cousin in Michigan. She said you shut her out. One of them messaged. But after what Beth told us, well, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. I didn't ask for sympathy. I didn't ask for anything. But when the truth shows up, it doesn't need help standing tall. Claire's story was unraveling because it had nothing beneath it but performance. She thought I would lash out, that I'd lose control, yell, maybe beg. Instead, I built a quiet case of calm facts and waited. That was what scared her most, because when a lie falls apart in silence, there's nothing left to blame but yourself. It started with a voicemail. Jack, I think we need to talk, not as enemies, just people who shared a life. I don't want this to get ugly. Her voice was soft, deliberate. She always knew how to sound reasonable, how to frame chaos as maturity. I didn't call back, but I saved the message. Like everything else. 2 days later, she called Ethan. He didn't answer either, but she left a longer message. Ethan, I miss you. I know things are complicated, but I never stopped being your mom. I never meant for you to feel caught in the middle. I hope you know I love you, and I'm here, whenever you're ready. He listened to it, then put his phone face down on the table. She sounds so real, he said. I nodded. She always has. He looked at me, confused. Do you think she believes herself? That question stuck with me, because part of me did wonder, did she truly believe she was a victim now? Had she told the story enough times that it started feeling like truth? I told him the only thing I knew for sure. Some people lie so much, they forget where the lie ends. That night, Ethan didn't say much. Just did his homework, scrolled his phone, went to bed early. But the next afternoon, he surprised me. She asked me to meet her, he said. Tomorrow. Coffee shop by the old park. I kept my voice steady. Do you want to? I don't know, he said. Part of me does, just to see what she says. I paused. If you go, don't go alone. I'll wait outside if you want. I won't interfere. He looked relieved. Okay. The next day was gray and damp. We drove in silence. When we pulled up to the cafe, I parked across the lot and watched as Ethan walked in. Claire was already there, dressed like she was going to court. Not overdressed, just calculated. A coat that said, I'm stable. A smile that said, I'm hurting. She hugged him. He didn't hug back. I watched through the window as she talked, gestured, smiled, tilted her head in that way she always did when she wanted to seem disarming. Ethan sat still, arms crossed, eyes cautious. The conversation lasted 25 minutes. When he came back, he opened the car door without a word and got in. Well? I asked. He looked ahead. She said she regrets how she did it, that she didn't plan to hurt anyone. I didn't speak. She also said you're trying to ruin her, that you've turned me against her. I let that sink in. And what did you say? I told her she did that herself. I turned to him. You okay? He nodded slowly. Yeah. I'm done pretending she's the same person. That night, Claire sent me an email. Subject line. Let's do this the right way. Message. Jack, I've spoken with a mediator. I think we can settle everything without court. I'm willing to split assets evenly and agree to shared custody, as long as we both agree not to bring up the past. Let's focus on peace. For Ethan's sake. It was her cleanest attempt yet. Diplomatic, neutral, reasonable. But underneath it, I could hear the desperation. She didn't want peace. She wanted erasure. She wanted to skip the consequences and pretend the performance never happened. I forwarded it to Teresa without comment. She called that evening. She's bargaining. She knows she's out of cards. If you want to go to court, we'll win. Cleanly. I want it official, I said. I want it public. I'm done pretending, just like she said she was. Claire had made our family into a stage. Now she wanted the curtain to fall quietly. But the truth doesn't leave through the back door. The first real consequence hit her job. Claire had built her career on presentation. Public relations, media branding, client image strategy, she was good at all of it. Her strength wasn't in skill. It was in confidence. She made people believe in a version of themselves they couldn't see. She curated identity like it was perfume, sprayed just enough to linger. But that only works when your own scent doesn't reek of contradiction. It started with a rumor. Someone in her office had heard about the dinner. Not from me. Not from Ethan. But word travels fast when it's soaked in drama. Then came the audit. Someone in accounting flagged suspicious consulting fees. monthly payments to Summit Strategies, the fake company Derek had registered. They traced the routing number and tied it to a P.O. box. Derek's name was on it. 2 weeks later, Claire was let go. Officially, departmental restructuring. Unofficially, someone forwarded internal proof she was channeling company funds into a strategic partnership that was neither strategic nor a partnership. I wasn't the one who reported her. I didn't have to. The truth, once exposed, does the work for you. Beth called me after it happened. She didn't sound smug, just tired. She's staying with a friend now, she said. But it's not permanent. No one's really inviting her anywhere. She's still talking to you? Not really. I think she knows I won't nod and smile anymore. What about Derek? Beth paused. Gone. She said he stopped responding. Changed his number. He blocked her, Jack. I leaned back in my chair. Guess he wasn't much of a life raft. Beth sighed. She was banking on him. That much is obvious now. Later that week, Ethan came home with a strange look on his face. I saw her, he said. She was waiting outside school. What? She didn't say anything. Just stood by her car with a gift bag. I didn't go over. I just watched her stand there like she thought I'd walk up and pretend nothing happened. My jaw tensed. You all right? Yeah. Just it's sad. She still thinks if she smiles hard enough, it'll go away. She didn't understand that charm only works when the lie is still hidden. And hers wasn't anymore. She'd spent years building an identity around strength, elegance, control. But none of that survives when people start asking questions she can't answer. One of her coworkers, a woman named Lena, reached out to me through LinkedIn of all places. Her message was short. She used your name as a reference for a leadership nomination. Before I submitted it, I asked around. I'm sorry for what you went through. You handled it better than most. I didn't respond. What was there to say? Claire had burned every bridge and thought the smoke would look like incense. I just stopped holding the matches for her. That weekend, Ethan and I cleaned out the apartment storage. We had boxes to move, not because we were going back to the old house, but because the lease was ending soon and I decided it was time to buy something new. Our own place. No ghosts. No history on the walls. Do you miss her? He asked suddenly as we sorted through old boxes. I didn't answer right away. I miss who I thought she was, I said. But that version of her doesn't exist anymore. Maybe never did. He nodded. Yeah, that's how I feel too. We didn't talk about her much after that. There wasn't anything left to say. Not because the pain had vanished, but because it had settled. Like dust in a room we no longer entered. Claire still sent emails. Most I didn't open. A few I saved for documentation. They got shorter, then quieter, then they stopped. But silence from someone who once needed to be the center of every room? That was louder than any apology. The courthouse was cold, not from temperature, but from what it represented. The end of something I'd spent half my life building. It wasn't grief that filled me that morning. It was something sharper, clarity. Ethan didn't come. He didn't need to. He'd already made his choice. My attorney, Teresa, met me at the steps, her briefcase heavier than mine. Not because of weight, because of what it contained. Inside was everything. Bank statements, voice recordings, the shell company transfers, evidence of her affair, the financial misconduct, the strategic lies. It was all categorized, labeled, dated. I hadn't created a weapon. I'd just written down the truth. Claire walked in wearing gray. Conservative suit, hair pulled tight, no makeup, a calculated shift from her usual polish. Her lawyer followed behind, all slick talk and tailored confidence. They thought we were here to negotiate. We weren't. The judge was a middle-aged man with tired eyes. He flipped through the files without expression, humming quietly as he reviewed our case. Claire sat straight, hands folded. Her expression was serene. She still believed she could charm her way through this. She still believed the narrative could be steered, as long as she stayed composed. Then the judge looked up. Mrs. Reynolds, you're requesting spousal support? Her lawyer jumped in. Yes, Your Honor. My client put her career on hold to support the family. She is now unemployed due to recent events that have left her financially vulnerable. Teresa stood, steady as ever. Your Honor, we contest that. Mrs. Reynolds maintained full-time employment throughout the marriage. Additionally, We have proof that she redirected funds to a third-party account without Mr. Reynolds' knowledge or consent. The judge raised an eyebrow. Proof. Teresa handed him a stack. He read in silence. 1 page 2-3. Then he looked at Claire. Mrs. Reynolds, what is Summit Strategies? Claire froze. Her lips parted slightly. A consulting firm. I was working with them. Was it registered to your romantic partner? She blinked. We have documentation of payments from joint accounts to this business, which is not legally operational and is connected to Mr. Derek Maxwell. Claire's lawyer tried to interject. We'd like to request a recess. The judge ignored him. There's also a transcript, Teresa said, holding up a printed page, recorded by the couple's son, in which Mrs. Reynolds describes plans to end the marriage on a specific date for maximum effect. She references financial planning and concealment. The judge took the transcript. Read silently. Then he looked up again. Mrs. Reynolds, this isn't just about infidelity. This is coordinated misrepresentation of assets and abuse of financial trust. Your request for spousal support is denied. Claire sat still, but her jaw twitched. The first crack. The judge continued. As for property, the residence is awarded to Mr. Reynolds. Mrs. Reynolds is required to vacate within 30 days. Now her hands gripped the chair. Custody, he continued, is awarded to Mr. Reynolds. The minor child has expressed a clear, consistent desire to reside with him. Mrs. Reynolds may request visitation through formal channels, but no court-ordered schedule will be enforced without mutual agreement. Finally, the judge looked down at the last page. All legal fees related to financial discovery will be covered by Mrs. Reynolds due to her lack of disclosure and intentional misdirection. It was done. The gavel didn't slam. The courtroom didn't erupt. It just ended. Claire stood, slowly. Her lawyer whispered something to her. She didn't answer. She just looked at me, not with rage or sadness, with confusion, like she still didn't understand how it had all fallen apart. I stood and nodded to Teresa. As we walked out, Claire called my name. I stopped. She took a step forward. Did you plan all this? I met her eyes for the last time.
No.
You did. I just paid attention. Then I turned and left. Outside, the sky was cloudless. The air crisp. For the first time in years, I felt taller than my own shadow. I didn't hear from Claire for 3 weeks after the court hearing. No calls.
No emails.
Nothing. For a woman who once couldn't go a day without orchestrating the narrative, that silence told me more than any message could. But the fallout didn't stay quiet. Beth called me one evening. She didn't sound angry, just worn out. She's staying with an old college friend now. Couch, not a guest room. Apparently, even her closest friends are too busy to host. She's still blaming me? I asked. There was a long pause. Not as directly. Now it's more like, I just made one mistake and they all turned on me. I laughed, but not out of humor. One mistake. She doesn't get it, Beth said. She really doesn't. She thinks if she just waits long enough, everyone will forget the details. Claire never expected to be left behind. She was used to being the center, the one people listened to, confided in, defended. But now her audience had thinned. People weren't picking sides. They were stepping back. Even at her old job, she hadn't been replaced, not officially. But her role had been absorbed quietly by 2 other staffers.
No fanfare.
No farewell post. Just absence. Ethan got a message from her the following week. A long one. This time, not a performance. Not a plea. Just a strange kind of emotional spasm. I'm not okay. I thought I could start over, but it's like every door shuts before I even knock. I know I messed up. I miss you. I miss our home. I miss how things used to feel. I thought he loved me. He didn't. I thought I was escaping something. But I think I just destroyed something instead. Please don't hate me. Ethan showed it to me without a word. He didn't ask for advice. He didn't need it. He just wanted me to see what she had become. She never once apologized for what she did to you, he said. Even here, it's all about her. She still hasn't faced herself, I replied. She's mourning the loss of control, not the loss of us. He nodded slowly. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't tell him how true it felt. Claire hadn't just lost her marriage. She'd lost the version of herself that only existed in other people's eyes. And once that vanished, there wasn't much left holding her up. Beth messaged again a few days later. She applied for a marketing job 2 towns over. They asked for personal references. I think someone from the firm you sent evidence to had connections there. She didn't get it? Didn't even get the interview. Her online presence changed too. The vague, poetic posts stopped. The inspirational quotes dried up. Eventually, she deactivated her account altogether. People like Claire can live without love, but they can't live without attention. Ethan asked me one night, "Do you think she regrets it?" I thought about it for a long time before answering. I think she regrets losing her audience, but I don't think she regrets the show. He nodded. That's what hurts most, I think. That she meant it. When she heard us, she wasn't confused. She was confident. And now no one looked at her the same way. Not her son. Not her sister. Not her friends. She used to walk into rooms like she owned the air. Now she walked in like she was waiting to be dismissed. I didn't need to punish her. The truth had done that already. People weren't cruel. They were simply done being fooled. She'd burned every version of herself that others once believed in. And no one, not even she, knew what remained.